Greeting, greetings, Islam. And this video, we're gonna look into Amexem, or what I call Afariqa Aqsa, which means the Africa of the Farthest West. And we'll go through what that is, and what happened to it, and then we can end off with how we can get back to it. So let's begin. Let's bring a pin from the 18th century, so-called Southern Germany. Even though Germany ain't been what we think as Germany today at that time. So check it out. You know, English translator gonna put something like this, even though he might see something that say Mahar. So this is what I call Africa Afariqa Aqsa, which is Africa of the Farthest West. And we're gonna talk about that and its conquest. And we'll use their own words. And look into that. So, just Afariqa or Africa. But I dealing with that word, dealing from their perspective, Europe or Rome or people who don't consider themselves from these places. So they call it Afariqa, being that it's far from them. As Moorish Americans, we call it Amexem. This whole thing. We live in Northwest Amexem. Just like they call this North Africa. We're using the term Amexem in the same fashion, but we're using this version. Right? Like we say, Tarzan, it ain't matter if you've been at Congo or the Amazon. We know Tarzan always ran into Moors. Even, most of the Tarzan comics written about allegedly Africa, but they got Tarzan in the Amazon too. So anyway, it's lit to Mayor of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, the old mayor of the United States of America, City of Chicago, proclamation. So he say, whereas the Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, Hammatites, and Canaanites who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet. So remember, when you see these words, we're talking about the whole world practically, but at a very early time, using these words for a English perspective of connecting. Like the Moabites might have many tribal names that we done lost in history, but we can identify them as the Moabites legally. And we all got our own little tribal names today. That's why we tell people, like, a lot of these words and stuff that we call it amongst ourselves, but in the realm of English, you got to deal with the law coming at that language. You can't confuse the situation. So, what scientists gonna write when they find your ancestors is these terms. So, that's where your connection's at in that realm. So, who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet, and remember, Egypt is a core word or Kemet for like certain a group of people. So you know what that means. That means it could have been plenty Kemet, quote unquote, places which is still around today. We just gotta look at the languages. You know, Kim. And they formed themselves kingdoms extending from northwest and southwest shores of Africa, the Atlantic islands, onto the present-day continental Americas. And I know people, I ain't read this before, but it's Noble Drawley. See, the indigenous people of the Americas are now united in order to again link themselves with the family of nations. And these is legal terms, like every word matter. That's why Noble Drawley been so raw with it, because when I look at this, I look at it from a legal perspective, and the terms the indigenous Moorish peoples of the Americas connect people who claim to beat us under certain historical and stuff that been already set up for them. Like your ancestors been setting up stuff for you 1,000 years ago for the last at least 5,000 years. Like they've been looking ahead of time, like 5,000 years from now, one of my children would be able to use this document or this provision or law or principle. That's all it is. And the way they phrase that, they use the family of nations, which is connected to international law, because the international law goes by the law of nations. So they're dealing with people, take you out of the slave status and bring you back into the international law status, a country, basically, of people. The Moorish Americans, being aboriginal to the territories of North, Central, and South America, have formed a sovereign theocratic government guided by the command principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice through virtue of universal right to self-determination, as well as the Declaration of Rights of Indigenous Peoples guaranteed in the Charter. So the Moorish Americans is a part of that when they deal with that Rights of Indigenous People document. You ain't got that tribe. When they say Native American tribes, you don't gotta go by the cartoon United States version of that. When they got the people who they call a Cherokee with the feathers and all that, like Indian, quote unquote. If you don't want to, if that's what you do, then that's fine, because all that is our ancestral sciences and stuff, and that's what we get back to. But don't let nobody tell you that the cartoon version of what a Moor is the version that we talking about. We ain't talking about that. We talking about with us that we about to go through in this video. Bring that thing home. So again, more legal things. What it's basically saying that your own government, you and your group, your family, your community can operate with a party in the government, and the United States gonna have to fund you and all that. That's the United States telling you this. They telling you like you saying you're a sovereign theocratic government, you and your family, your group, y'all got constitution and stuff like that, govern yourself. They can't come later and say you can't do that, because in your own mouth you're telling us what it is. You're green. That's what these proclamations for. We ain't trying to make it look like just because he said it ain't true, not like that. All law. So, they talk about Noble Drawley on January 8th, 1886. Noble Drawley was born in the state of North Carolina, destined to be, and they put that in the He was born in Morocco in his own state, but they showing you how the African Americans that they got the same status, regardless of what that status is. It go back and it gotta. I can't explain it on this one video, but I like how they did that because you what you supposed to become. So this then become the first patriarch of the mentally enslaved Moorish American people. And in 1912, he was later anointed as El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali by the heads of Egypt and the holy city of Mecca. See what I'm saying? That's the United States telling. That's the United States putting us in there. If it was like, I don't know. And this like 8 different states, all of them retarded. If these people who put these proclamations out, like, if they just retarded by doing this, then why are we voting them in as mayors? They ain't know what they're talking about. So they've been to return to the United States as the last prophet and founding father of the newly risen nation of Moorish Americans. So we say the last prophet and founding father of the newly risen nation of Moorish Americans. Okay? So people like always cause controversy and war when they see terms like last prophet. They will make them the last prophet. It's specific. Our specific group who agree to that, who agree that's the patriarch or whatever, you know what I mean? As a result of the 13th Amendment, Moorish people were emancipated from slavery in 1865. So basically, you been re-enfranchised, so to say, in the United States Union, even though the Union already been messed up. They still ain't had no choice but to make sure you Moorish Americans get a fair shake in the occupied government, even in the worst part of the occupied government, because any political opponent against them can use that fact against them. Use the fact that these people who they exploiting, you know what I mean, got certain laws and provision. They can't just, the occupied government gotta stand down on certain things. As long as the people use power and numbers, they can do anything they want to do, really. But to enforce a law, they try their best to circumvent somebody enforcing a law. So what they do is they make you not be a part of this by propaganda. Instead of pushing out this to the people, they'll push out something else. Give them a African American slave museum with their money. So we're gonna see some leftover right here. We can see what we see. Let me make sure I still recording. We see leftovers of Afariqa Aqsa, the Africa of the West. Some stuff they just ain't changed. Like, forget it. Just tell them that some of the slaves bring over their place names. They just changed the name because the slaves brought them in. I don't know what these stories are, but check them out. They probably got stories for each of these though. They beat me to the punch. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But it's all about the language. A lot of stuff they don't even know to change because it's just language. Especially now today, because their ancestors were much smarter with the language than them. They lose to the Englishmen. So we're gonna look at these 3 points, and we can see how this triangle, boom, boom, and people say Massachusetts and Morocco is an easy route, and we find that church out there, the oldest church. We got the Moroccan stamp all over it. Basically, the oldest church on the side of on this continent is a Moroccan church, built by Moroccans, ancient Moroccans. But it didn't necessarily have to be built by people who traveled from here and went here and started boating. Moroccans been already here before the first record been written about where people was and where they at and shit. So we gotta get out that mind state that somebody come from somewhere just because a name. Moroccans, no, they connect that because the language. So that's why they connect that to that. But you could be dealing with a large group of people who, like you see with the red spots, you see populations. And these red spots in this area that's with this blue square around it, they pretty much guarantee you all these people related like a motherfucker because of ancient travel. And there are plenty of books you can go look at. Just look for the Atlantis peoples and people who've been writing about their theories of this, like a group of people who got a distinct genetic stock, so to say. And we get Mount Atlantis from that. And we get the Mauritanian king Atlantis as his name, using that. And these people been all over this whole area. And that's what we see more at today, in these red spots in huge numbers. So tropical climate zones, you can see how the world used to run off a tropical climate map. And I don't really got too much proof for that, but that's my theory. And we can see in this, you see the 13 colonies, right, down to Florida. And you see how the tropical map outline that as if they put the proclamation line on that map using my theoretical old ancient maps been more climical, like certain words like Arabia, Araya, Arayo, Yoruba, stuff like that would have been in desert type areas, Mauritania, and Afariqa in Africa, and stuff like that would have been in the pink and the green areas of the planet, stuff like that. On the old maps before they changed to the ones we see today. It's the other side. That's why I said that red part was Africa. Because that climate exists, what they call it equatorial today. So, but everything, I think, that's how the world been viewed before it changed up. That's important to know, because when we read old books, we gotta remember they don't got the same maps and references that we got today. Keep that in mind. That's the top part, the tundra. And I don't know about the tundra in 1,000 years, 2,000, 5,000 years, or whatever, but I know I understand people from the Americas and Europe and Asia always had this rope for a long time. I don't even think this rope always tundra, you know. And on the other side, the South America, the South Africa, ancient peoples could have been going back and forth since we don't know how long, right? Like Morpheus said, you gotta remember, forget everything you thought you knew. That means everything you look at now, you're looking at from your own perspective, what your eyes see, not what the author of some article write about it. I use other people all the time, but they just a reference to my realization of something. Even though really the stuff he say, it ran through my mind, and it makes sense to me. So he right because of that, not because he said it. That's for the people who always comment on Noble Charlie brainwash me. Like how? I was like shit. I be forgetting to quote people and give people their props a lot of times because of that, because I so much into my own understanding of things. So I make it a point to say in every video, most of this already been said by Noble Charlie, just in a way to try to hurry up and get a bunch of stuff to you as much as possible in the least amount of time. And allegedly he did say that he bring you even half of what could be brought back to you. Because he said if you dead, he would put you back to sleep. And he said you ain't gonna know where he bring you into the year 2000, as if he knew the cell phone and the iPads and stuff, rapid Google searches and references galore compared to even when I've been little, I had to steal book out the library to get the knowledge right. Get multiple library cards, stuff like that. So he said 2000, like on the money, rapid information. And even now, I still going through his references, and everybody's still finding that that's true. So let's start. So we see the Canaanites, who became the Phoenicians or whatever, in the English historical realm. We got Put also. People always say that's the ancient lands that nobody knows where it's at. Because we gotta stop using our modern way of thinking about maps in the world. And we see this empire from the Phoenicians, right? Puniki. And you see Canaanites, Hittites, and Egyptians precedes them. So chapter 47 is dead on the money with this Wikipedia page. 1929 he wrote the Canaanites and their brethren, the Hittites and the ancient Egyptian empire get permission from the pharaohs to settle in Northwest Africa. And we got Phoenicians, we got Put, and we got a million stories of people coming from the West and going to the West, and everybody will act like the Christopher Columbus story is a real thing, like it couldn't have been through the Strait of Gibraltar to America. We'll have so much good history to talk about on this planet, but people get over that shit. Christopher Columbus, because that's the only thing stopping them from seeing it like this. So, as we can see, cities been set up by these people in the same fashions of our ancestors. just trying to keep you marginalized to this Mediterranean instead of outside the streets, but you can see cities outside the streets. So they're gonna stay away from the other side of the world with us because all they gonna do is to say no withdrawal labor and just write the whole time. Like that's all they gonna be saying. Like yeah, they right in there's that all that shit right by making that claim, by just making the claim that yeah they set up stuff on American coast too at this time or before, done in law, legally, status. So you see, they know all over the world these what they call these Phoenician so-called colonies, but these ain't really colonies. They always try to make them look like Moors. Always invading something. Right? They do it with the Islamic invasions on their Wikipedia pages, but half of them places been Islamic, and they've been probably overthrown by something else, and they just were coming back at that time because they knew about the most ancient of times of these times. They've been already here, and that's what they say the Islamic invasions came at, but who were around these places when they came? Rome. So even more of a what's it called? A fucking rescuing from the clutches of Rome. But anyway, this right here is the pre-Moorish Empire of the world. And like we say before, this has been the ancient empire of Egypt that we calling that from chapter 47. And you get they will give you some legendary stuff instead of just saying Phoenix, Arizona and stuff like that. But most cities in the American continent is all Phoenician cities. If you look at the architecture and the way it's set up and all this monument stuff around it, it's just like all these kingdoms. It's just like all these kingdoms. They find Baal everywhere, temples dedicated to Baal. So as we move forward, we're dealing with this Roman at the top because we can see Caesarius, Caesari, Incis, and Tingitana. But you know, more stone habitus around us and everything just under this influence. The Gaetuli, and we got the Mauritania Gaetuli family, basically been the rest of Africa at this time. To them, they didn't know what Africa been, but Gaetuli to the Rome, and Numidia. And you see Africa. I've been trying to tell people Africa they've been known as Africa right here in Rome. But there's been a tribe, and they think this tribe already been all over the world. They just were calling themselves this at this time. But even to me, I believe they come from South America and set up their own little kingdom right here, Carthage, right here from there. When they look at the linguistic side of it, I think they came from Afariqa and set up Africa over there, which just as a Roman way to say that. So that's a little different. You see Tripoli, we call it Syriac, and Caesarica. Greek and Roman linguistic versions of things we gotta know, but you know, it's all still Moorish. That's why I learned it. So we got Libya, like Iptus, all that part. That's why in color under Rome. Carthage, see, Carthago, the so-called African provinces. 'Cause that's what Africa been, Carthage. And since Hanno the Navigator been the first person to ever circumvent the continent and wrote about it and mapped it and all that to that world. You know, most probably already I know about everything. To the Roman world, they attribute, since he been of Carthage, Africa, they contributed that to the continent. That's my theory on that. And then they changed Afariqa on the other side to America, which is, I believe, is also a similar term, similar group, basically the same group who will call themselves Americanos, which is like the language of this right here, like quasi Latin and Greek. There were Americanos that they've been using in 1786 for the word America, the nobles. So, dealing with a timeline. So let's continue. So as we can see, after Rome won certain wars, they gain jurisdiction, which basically means they collect taxes on both churches and, whatever. Well, this empire, and it's stretched to America, they just ain't gonna tell you. Rome and Carthage still under the same two things, even either under Rome or Carthage. You ain't had no protections out of anything else. So another one. Look how much it been Numidia at that time. To show you that these place names are ambiguous, really. We should be using these terms in the way we use our language and naming cities, naming our cities back to what we want to name. So as you can see, Rome and Carthage always at war. But basically, control of the streets is always the key, because America at play. But as we can see, even in their own history, they tell us who been first, right? They tell us who been first, and then they tell us about Rome going to war with Carthage all the time. Like, you's a thief. You come late. How you coming in these territories claiming shit? Same shit that gonna happen later. We're gonna look at that. So, North America, North Dakota, right? Those Indians that they show us on TV, the powwows and stuff. Let's see what he found when he decided to check out history outside of the Department of Education, Hollywood, modern authors. Let's go to The Hague, and let's go to the conquistador documents themselves and see what my history is. That's what he did, because they call him Indian American. So he want real American history, not what they tell him, not the same people who allegedly give him the blanket tell him. So let's see what some of the things he found. Again, we just because he's saying it, don't make it facts. He just more evidence than a bunch. So they say no wonder 100 million quote unquote Indians had to die because they could speak the Arabic language. So basically, he's saying they ain't been Indians, they been Moors. He ain't come to that conclusion because he where he at with it, but he gets some good stuff. That explains why the old Pueblo Indian Tiwa language is secret and never brought out because it has many Arabic words in it. And it used to be a death penalty if anyone found out that someone knew it. So now we see why our grandmama remember the word Indian, but she don't remember more. That's what they need to hide. The word Indian shit, they use that all the time. They use more sparingly, but even they don't really do that no more. But in the 90s, they make movies and stuff, right? They did that because they just the director just try to be historically accurate. He know in the 1600s or 1500s or wherever in England or wherever on the planet that dark-skinned person wouldn't be called black, he would be called Moor. So in that movie, if he called that person black, somewhere like me make a comment on a movie critic site and say that's historically inaccurate. Spend too much money, so hey, you gotta be historically accurate. So that's why Will Smith and Martin and all them get called that, because they're historical movies. So, but that's the one thing they don't need you to be a more. See, damn that Arabic too. Them old treaties, them words like Americanos, them treaties can be read by people who know Arabic easily. And it'll be like, yeah, that's a Western type Arabic. Yeah. So even he changes his name to Musa. When he gonna find himself, he found him Musa. Musa. To show you, that's Afariqa, Northwest Africa. He Dakotas, so that been Mauritania on the old geography. I know the period of time that this nation had to exist, only there were no reference that such a nation ever visited Indians, but it ruled the rest of the world for a period of 700 years, and this was the Moorish Empire. So he find what any smart person would think, even without going through the records he had to go through. He had to go through to The Hague and get original documents. But anybody can really just think about this shit like 1491, the fall of the Moors in Grenada. 1492, discovery of a whole continent. It gotta be, something gotta be up with that. So you see, if this empire ruled the world for 700 years, why they ain't got no records of it ever visiting the Americans? He used the term Indian because that's what he about, but that's what he come to a conclusion. Anybody can come to that conclusion. So after 12 years, he found out that a more open who had control of the treaties between the tribes here and the world trade. Because, like I always say, you had control of the ports, Grenada, and all that for world trade, nobles and kings and shit. So he had more, basically the one who gave up the keys to Grenada. The last king of Grenada, Al-Zagar, he had them treaties with Americans, which was Moors, his family, his people. That's why when he, after he gave up Grenada, he asked them for a boat to get to America. And then we blind him when he come in for doing that. But you can see people who make these shrines using that boy name. So them Shriners who use that name, I look at them as traitors. You celebrating him? We need Grenada. Get that shit today. Shit. So he said, if you study the Indian Manifesto, which only has 8 articles, but there are over 100 articles, Spain cannot meet the financial burden of these treaties with Indians. So after Spain steal all the damn commerce, they couldn't keep up with how to run the shit. Thieves. So neither could all the rest of the new civilized nations. Dutch, English, Portuguese, all of them take on these burdens of world trade. And they steal basically this world power shit right now, man. Like, I don't even know. I just keep explaining that trying to explain because we be looking at stuff on the local level a lot. It ain't never been local. So he said the Moors that I can locate to this day over 200 pueblos, which are cities that used to exist in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, that Spain had to maintain a population and an army for each pueblo. So that's what them treaties been about. You have to maintain an army and stuff like that. You paying taxes to the sheriffs. The sheriff will make sure everything's great. Spain can't keep up with that. So they say that been protected from any aggression by any foreign power. So any power outside the treaties, the relations, which all these still apply today for everybody in the world. That's why they get people to get outside of this by calling themselves other things, which would disconnect you from it. You find that out. And you see one of these tribes, they call a shrine El Zagal. They could have been stole. They still got the records of them working with Andalusian Moors, and going back and forth, because I damn sure ain't working with no niggas who I don't know. They gotta be family, Shit, they going over there to get some houses. But as we see, it's the same ancient Phoenician empire. We just on the northwestern coast that we call North America. But I'd be skeptical of these little tribes, right? So I'd be thinking they're the ones who trade, so they use a trader like El Zagar. Plenty more, Your Honor. They picked this nigga. We blind this dude as soon as he came home for what he did. And that been the last time we had Grenada. 1497, I believe. And then even then, he been doing some slick shit. The more about to kill him over there. That's why he dipped. But you know how niggas is. That's how he just like, we the same people. We just on the local. We just local with it instead of international with it. So as you can see, they even call themselves Mandan, right? We know what that is. Mandingo and all that. West Africa, quote unquote. So, they got on top of the star and crescent, they got the sword. You got the plainsmen and all. So this would lead me to believe that they love this dude because of what happened. But what they don't get is what we don't get, and which is vitally important. Him giving up Grenada don't change nothing. They don't own. I don't. I ain't give them no rights for nothing. Not even Grenada. That's just only for the people who fall for it, and that's what the world fall for. So we got this Yuana. They don't never use this in the history books, but they use Isabel. They get rid of all the mess where you want them. Because I believe you want to been somebody from here, probably a child or something of a noble, who they married and then cut her out of history later. So they say with the death of Ferdinand II, they say that's his daughter, but supposed incompetence to rule of his daughter. So the supposed incompetence. That's what they say. So Isabel. So they use that to claim America, in which they call the Indies. These group, this particular group, Castile and Aragon. So they make it look like Aragon's daughter had the natural right for claims over here based off her nativity. You wanna? For all we know, we could kidnap her or something like that, or just made it up. Who knows? But I don't believe they made it up. I believe they hide it because I don't remember them telling me about a queen you wanted this thing. I don't remember, and like at this story from plenty different points of views over the years, right? Dealing with Moorish history, can't get away from the Holy Roman Empire history. I remember the name Iguana, but I didn't know how much it been important until I see this map. Now I gotta go back. Okay, so here we go. We got this. You see, this Portugal. And you see, they make Portugal start in 1460, around this time, right through the maritime. The Henry the Navigator, he creates schools of navigation. Columbus and all them went to them schools. But even always against wars against Moors and Christians. And you see, they say he's been going to look for the spice trades, and they've been going sea to sea from Asia, the Americas. We're going to look at right here. And what they've been doing, been claiming inheritance based off the fact that they've been Moors who've been ruling these areas that they call Portugal. So when they overthrow that, everything else that those Moors been inherited to, they feel it needs to take. So they war criminals, wars against humanity, bunch of crimes. And you can see they tell you about Brazil too, but they put them in 1500 because the records, Spain and Portugal work together to say, okay, we're gonna rock with this 1492 story right quick. So they agree to let them push their date back behind that. But these canyons right here been already run by Moors up in Amexem. And some of the names still the same. Some of these names still Portuguese try to keep a lot of the names, been try to get the people to call themselves the names that they give them, like Filipino, or they ain't never really use Indian. They probably call them African, or even calling them Azanegas, Azaneguas, and Negroes. And if they've been in league with the Moors over here, they call them by their proper name, of course, Moros, but just any dark-skinned person, they've been on it. They'll rename you, set up a factory. Next thing you know, a whole city. Next thing you know, settlers sitting in. Next thing you know, you live in that city instead of the one you've been in. Okay, so let's see. most of the places was in that red area from the first map we saw at the beginning. Afariqa. They just Wikipedia just ain't gonna talk about the side, but common sense would tell us if all this right you can expect this. If you got ships that can get through all this, then come on, stop playing. That's alright though. Let them stay slow. We putting it back on the record for the world. Then when they come put them on the record after us, they'll look like they copy us. So these fights they put inside the confines of Spain and Portugal. But this world war, going back since before the 8th century, and still continues today. These orders and stuff still around today, and your mayors, governors, presidents, and stuff got these same things. So when they win these battles and stuff in Portugal and Spain, they ventured out. So I don't even get why people can blame Moors for any discovery of European colonization, because they try their best to keep that thing confined right there before because it's hard to get to the rest of the world while going through that strait. So we got stories of Amorovitz just going over there and just putting the king on the throne, like making sure stay under your control. And that's the Holy Roman Empress. Basically, it became just them versus Morocco, the Sultan. Which basically, right, it's the two religions today. We get the Sultan and the Pope. Well, Islam and Christianity. But my videos and this video, we ain't coming at that mundane ideology. Looking at it for what it is. So you can see the monuments that they deal with. Right? New World discoveries, commemoration. Discovery means register. So even if that's by getting the king to pass over vassalage, or not even have to pass over vassalage, just let them register that as a place. They might don't never even come back and talk to that king again. They just want to map it. And they might collect a percentage of the tax and provide military aid or wheat or some kind of stuff that they had in them forts that we had in our forts. So and also the crimes, the invasions, and conquering of towns and renaming. That's a way. And a lot of stuff they claim they buy, but that's hard to believe. So, more propaganda. And propaganda doesn't mean told in a way to make it look like it's like claiming your arm to be your whole body. So they just leave stuff out. That's why you call it propaganda. They make facts and stuff in a way. So we got the Iberian-born Pope, who been favorable to Portugal and Spain. But you had a bunch of different Italy England, France, all them still had under his you know, hegemony, and but he been favorable to them when it comes to the Americas. He split up between them two, make everybody mad. That's some more propaganda from the time period. And you know this propaganda is making them naked to re to take over the land through propaganda without having to fight. Sometimes they ain't even have to fight; they just go and do propaganda on them. Get some friars to go in there, get the people to come to church, and now that city got a name. You already had the city, but now it's this city with the church and the state working to get you through that sometime and draw you like this to make it look like they were needed to civilize you. And you see the palm, but you know that's a cord that showed up in Phoenicia or Carthage or Mediterranean type world like Egypt. You see 1510, so you know 1492, and you ain't gonna have a whole city ready by 1510. So why you got a city for? Say that? Who said that? Couldn't been people who just find a place. What 8 years late before 1492. So the city already been there. Another one, 1502, is much closer to 1492. So they hiding it. And we see Castilla de Oro, and this has been the Spanish territory of the old world, the new world. Old world, they call it the new world. Like I say, to steal your shit. But that's all they really had at first. The Juana fiasco with the marrying of Juana. And you see Castillo de Oro. There's a lot of places that they had under conquerorship. They've been conquering. They claim a lot of this right here over the right through conquest. Like, nigga, we beat you, that's why. And they don't really talk about it because it happened before 1492. That's been Canaries, Gran Canaria. So the Indies only with previous royal license, and after 1503, the monopoly of the crown was assured by the establishment of Casa de Contratación, the House of Trade at Seville. You see? So all they did was take over what was going on in the world trade, and it already been going on over there with you running it until they beat you up. If you claim to be an American, your ancestors have been running it. So the successor of Columbus, however, litigated against the crown till 1536, and they didn't really had no claims because the crown make that shit up. They already had conquerorship of a lot of those places, but they've been trying to discover new lands because you can't keep conquerorship. You conquer the Moorish land, the Moors conquering back and forth. But they had a bright idea. They said, you know what? Let's make us think that we discovered new land. Let's give this nigga the props. His children ain't got no. What you talking about? Claims, litigations. The people who had litigations against the crown could still been the people who already been on this land as lords when Columbus story really come out like that. We were like, hold up, he discovered my place, my city, or my manor, because you know your manor be like your city. You took a lot of things in that little big ass manor, and a lot of cities start off as manors and forts, stuff like that. So we're looking deep into it. Let's go. We got the territory administered by Castile, Aragon, Portugal, Italy, the Indie Council of the Indies, in which I believe what from my historical research are the same Americans from over here who trying to act like the most that's happened to them. That's been them. They had territory because they've been. It's a long story, but you see how much. Basically, they've been the kings of the Indies and Canaries and stuff. We gotta admit our own walls between each other over here. Portugal been mostly working with the sheriffs. These most in Spain been mostly working with what they claiming. But they administrating it through councils, and you know, they got their building out, they tax collectors and everything. And like I say, a lot of these tribes and stuff give vassalage, and a lot of them been conquered. But even the ones who give vassalage, they still can't. I mean, you know, just because a tribe give vassalage, say it's Jamaica, they sell Jamaica to France. The people of Jamaica, 500 years from now, 600 years from now, the children they don't gotta go by that sneaky ass deal that you can't sell that. Hell, you sell Jamaica. You sell a corporation of Jamaica. You sell a building. You don't sell a place. Because that's all they really been at first. Even just administrations, they've been like, we're gonna administrate the ports and the foods that's coming to Portugal and to different parts of Europe. So they'll have a office by the forts and stuff, the ports. That's why you're always on the coast, you see. Now when we're talking about the conquest of the world that they're going to pay for, you can see them all in the interiors. So they're taking this thing, and in a later group of people who call themselves Spanish and Portuguese and all these things, come in and attack dark-skinned people in these places, you know, from that time period on through till today. But we're going back to the times when we ain't got that going on in history. We ain't got those conquests in Africa. We was snatching up people off the coast and all those stories. Those stories should exist, but they don't. So we can assume that some group of people decide to say, we don't know who these people, these ain't humans, or these ain't our family, or whatever. We're going to fight them and take over this world commerce ourselves. So the Habsburg pursued several goals, undermining the power of France and containing it and its eastern borders. And you will see some of these Habsburgs, they had turbans and feathers and shit like that. If you find the right picture, you get you. They've been related. They definitely been related to a lot of Americans, those Habsburgs. Take a matter of fact, go through Ancestry. You probably find one in your line. Most Americans. So defended Europe against Islam. So they wanted to do it their own way. The Holy Roman Empire, notably the Ottoman Empire, they were trying to keep up the Turks. And all this hate dealing with America too. They just don't admit it. You see, and the world, they want to take over the Holy Roman Empire. That family, basically, they're spreading Christianity to the unconverted indigenous. So that's what we see in the New Worlds and the Philippines, both Indies, and that's what they did. They came in aiming like they show you in the picture where you got the naked Indian and the Spanish person got the technology and the clothes on and all that. He got science and shit. No, these ones over here in America had they got a record showing that they been mad because the Moors been down with algebra and sciences like that because they so Christianized, they so into beliefs. These Moors been into science, so they were the ones who had the understanding of these things. It just been like how our world treat us. Like, hey, we give you a better deal, you know. we got you a better percentage and blah blah blah. Who knows? Some of them could have been our puppets. But look on the maps that show America. They'll show you the indigenous Americans, quote unquote, with the Spanish on the other side of the little thing. Both of them look happy. So, if anybody would be, I know that's one of the most common things. You know, a lot of parrot stuff that go around, especially when it comes to Moors for some reason. See, like everybody watch one video about Moors. They don't even change the words up, but that's one of the things the Moors help bring Columbus, or the Moors come, like they taking the word Moor and they taking the contour version of that, so that don't register, they malfunction for them being here already. So they gotta come from somewhere of that word being used. That's how these people, the church got them right there today. It was really the whole world, really, because shit, you know, to my people, say for the Moorish Americans, dealing with this truth. But we should know that idea is ridiculous because you assuming that these people have been the ones who, as the indigenous people, then the conquered people who tell you they're the conquerors, you never mention. And that's deliberate. Everything they want more to get rid of because they stealing it from that. Right? Go through the history of Castile, Aragon, Portugal. But you ain't gotta do the history because they're gonna show you. And as you see, that's their job, to get rid of anything that they believe is Islam. So exploiting the resources of the Americas, that's been one of the things they surprised my computer even said. Because the slave stories give us the Gold Coast in West Africa. But our research tells us that the real Gold Coast been put over the fake Gold Coast been put over there, which been actually used as that too. But it been deliberately put over there to hide this Gold Coast from the French and the other European powers. When they get on the sea, they would make maps and put Guyana, del Oro, Castilla, del Oro. Those means gold. Oro means gold. So they'll put that on in Africa on their old maps, and let that thing flood England and one of them. And saying them they looking for gold. So the Asian part too, that's the Silk Road history going to it. So like I said, beyond Alan Mar, they used to call that further beyond. And this represents the Straits of Gibraltar, where they got between Morocco and Spain, right? The Straits. And they say theory, hypothesis, the origin of the dollar sign. And no hypothesis. Just they know the dollar sign, know world trade, the power of world trade, been the ones who ruled this area, Straits. See, Holy Roman Empire, he changed it. And they used to call the Moors who been coming from overseas to them at the time, 1300s, 12, right before they realized that it was a whole another place beyond the sea. They um they know even other places, but they ain't know even how we know it today. What they used to call them, put in the record books, beyond the sea, stuff like that, and Alan Mar overseas, something like that. And then used to talk about the Mediterranean, where they at between them and Morocco when they used that term, because that was like a pond to them, not a sea. They talking about boats coming from over the horizon, the Atlantic. So they what they realized been that they realized that they late descendants of the ones who were coming from America since ancient times and back and forth, the Phoenicians, and they act like it. Carlos especially just did it in their own way. So the Indies, you see, the rough draft that they give us. I can read this. But I wanted to point out, they make sure to say following the patterns of the reconquest of Islamic Spain. They always say that in the books and stuff. And when I see them say that, I think they be knowing what's up, because they trying to hide something. They trying to hurry up and tell you that they follow the patterns that they already used to do in Spain to Moors, that they did to the Indians, trying to make it like that's a different story from each other. When you find connections, that's you gonna automatically assume that, oh, that's just a pattern, and that's what been happening. So we see the English getting involved. See how late they is to the game, and they hop around. And you know when he been hopping around, when they been hopping around, they been picking up niggas too. They been like, you wanna ride? I'm like, boy, come on, let's go somewhere. Saw them end up in Virginia, allegedly, with not these two, but what do you say? Yeah, Hawkins. I think they were Hawkins. What they say? End up in Virginia with the Moors. He captured, but he captured Moors. There been so much wars going over here. Shit, he probably been the ones who been ready to get away. Let's go on the boat. That's what the story says. He been picking up the boy from. He picking up the so-called slaves who've been coming from Africa who escaped. When they get to America, he picked them up and bring them to, because they want to make sure they hide the early wars between Moors and Christians in that area. So that's their story. I should have had that in here, but let's continue. So you see how they claim everything. Succeeded by Spain, Italy, the Mexican Empire, and you see Gran Canaria became Gran Colombia, and you know Argentina became Chile, Bolivia. So, and some of these they show you where you've been before, like the Sultanate of Sulu. They'll show you that on that side. But they'll call it stuff like Aztec Empire and Mayan civilization. These people already been working back and forth with Spain and Portugal. That's why all this shit is so connected. Just later, Spain and Portugal start fighting them people. And like I say, and they decided to destroy the Moors of Granada and Spain or whatever. That's when we start to see the takeover of everything. And you see, even up there, where they got the tobacco statues showing him, calling him Morian. As you can see, all up in your empire. These late Europeans claiming it. But That's what happened when you start following the gods of Europe. That's what happened. You start to be more Portuguese instead of Moroccan. That's what happened. Now the Portuguese claim it. They say, "Hey, I Portuguese, so shit must be mine." And you see the success of kings who had hedged money over certain parts of America. But when you read these stories, they're always gonna take you to Seville and Andalusia, so they can't get away from it. They'll love to wipe all that out, but and as you can see how they did on the opposite coast also. I believe they find so much records of so much different tribes around the world in Grenada when they took Grenada. Like they find documents galore about where all these places are, probably maps and shit. Because why you just now exploring all this part of the world? You're so mighty. What took you so long? Everything after 1491. Not really what happened. They really started 100 years earlier than that, but still late under that name, Spanish and Portuguese and Italian, all that shit. So, let me see. They don't mind telling you these been Sultanates and stuff. Instead of Aztec Empire and stuff like that, they'll tell you these been Sultanates. Even though all the other side was Sultanates too. Look at this coast, Peru and all that. That's why I say Cusco. The way it's set out, the way Cusco set up like a Mecca type city. Look at the layout, Cusco, and those most of Cusco had kingdoms up this coast all the way to Baja, California. They can find connections with the language and all kind of shit with that group. And I think that's that. You see where they say Calio, they got that blue line going up. I think that's what they're referencing. Go all the way up to Alaska too. But they even find Moorish presence in Australia. So they probably going to all these people like, "Hey, new management." Like they were like, "Hey man, I never work with you." Shit. So you see the marabouts, these Moors were hey, try to keep everything intact for a while. Setting up garrisons and forts and shit. Fighting off colonizers. They don't get enough credit from us, from our ancestors. They fought a lot of these so-called new conquerors or world discoverers during that time period, 14 through shit to now. Shit. Okay, this gonna be long, and there's gonna be a bunch of different points going down about what we talk about. Afariqa Aqsa. Yep. In the 17th century, controlled by Holland, the slave quarry of, you see other Europeans getting involved around that time. The slave quarry of American Guinea and scarce Gander. Basically saying by the 17th century, the places that they once knew of Guinea already been scarce in people, resources, and all type of shit based off the exploitations that were going on before that century. Europeans developed factories on the other coast. So you got people, England and all them going on what we call Africa today to do the same thing that's been being done and been done on the coast of America, taking those ports. They're already set up now. So they created Ghana on that coast. So they doing the same thing, which was known as Congo or Angola, abundant in blacks. Or Moors, before not having been exploited. So the American Ghana, that area, consists of wars and enslavement of the people and all that, getting shut around the American colonies, so-called Indies and these other administrative colonies. Because it been hard for them boy to get that area. We're getting they up in that. The Sharif try to keep that area the longest. So even though we still might have had that area, people would abandon those areas because of wild men jumping off on the coast, running, trying to kidnap you, no child, dude. This war, holy wars. So it became scarce between Holland and them try to come. The Dutchman, ridiculous. So Danish factory official, author of the interesting story, said that blacks, Moors, in the service of so-called whites paid in kind, rejected local tobacco, demanded it from Brazil, not having been informed of its existence by the colonizers. Presumably they found out on their own. So basically going back to saying that it was always, we never really look at it as two different continents, especially Moors on those, and especially more the whole earth was our continent, Mauritania, or you asking us, but they had those political divisions, but they assumed it, like shit, we all know about America, because dude, Columbus didn't discover it yet, dude. That's how they came thinking. Voodoo may have been imported into the Indies from America, but not necessarily by black slaves. And we know that based off how old the connections is. We find languages that connect between the two continents that predate 1492, so like written. So indicative that Islam deeply penetrated black Americans, Moors. It is a tourist guide published in the middle of the 20th century. Moorish ajimes, stone lace, reserved in a house in Calle de Amparo in Olinde. It is said that in Bahia, the Rome of the blacks, the fig or hand of Fatima was a common and appreciated amulet. So, connections. We have to admit that, even thousands upon thousands of connections if you got the understanding of what you're looking at. Like you might have walked on that street and walk right past that and not know that it was a Moorish Ajime stone lace preserved in a house on that street. But imagine the other things we walk past don't know. So we have to admit that Felipe III was not mistaken in 1616 when he called Lisbon's Casa de las Indias he called it Casa de Damina. So he called the Lisbon castle of the House of the Indies, was like a contract house. He called it the House of Mina, which is the Brazil, which means gold mine, which means mine. So he called the Indies that because the Indies been Castile, not Lisbon, not Portugal. So they ain't able to call Indies. That's their name for this place. They got their own. So giving it the first name, which the civilian contracting house had. So the civilian, even the ones from the Indies been. So, basically before Castile take Seville and them places from the Moors been using Mina and stuff like that. That's why I say Portugal ain't really changed names. They just Latinized them a little bit more, but still use the same names. So giving it the they say when it was created to control the commerce of the Canary Islands. See how I saying these things control commerce, ports, and stuff like that. When you get inland, that means something ain't right because people post the treaties apply with inland. The people ain't got they definitely protected from the commerce. So they say with the civilian contracting house, they say Canary Islands. So all is talking about America, but that's the name Portugal been using at this time. Canary Islands, Santa Cruz, the Little Sea, or the Caribbean, and Tagaos, and Cabo de Aguirre with Pastor or Indigo. So a lot of the documents of these trade houses, contract houses, some of the imports been indigo and stuff like that. It's found in the royal possession in Africa, and that's where the same coming from the royal house in Africa. But we dealing with America. So, and the documentation produced by the very voluntarily forgotten Barbary, we find place names that are preserved in Morocco, and not a few have forgotten. In 1581, Hamete El Dorado left Morocco, making the 19th League, and Morabea Kidam was defeated by Mule Shekwe, his brother in Mekra El Medbouk, not far from Saleh, leaving the clans of La Garamara in the vicinity of the Al-Khazar. In 1610, Abdullah, the son of Mahamati, set his field at Sad Beni Weriter, Kidam, planning his royal at Elitneni El Haliga. And these stores for Moors who listen, just go back and look up these Moors and look at their stories. What she's saying is a lot of the stuff is the old places that have been in America on maps and shit, and on documents that come through Seville. So, story from a whole new complex perspective. So, we say basically he ordered his troop not to move away from the surroundings of Sila in the course of the battle, because if they lived badly stopped, they would withdraw to Teca, the name of the Tenerife Rada. So that's why I call the video Afariqa Aqsa, because we really had one name for a lot of places as most, like a bunch of places based off how that prince said all his little manners around the world, all the way with governing parts that he governed, gonna be probably have the same name and shit. So going against the Morbito Axas, and we deal with that word before, the Morbids. Basically it's Morbid, but they're Morbito. I think that's how they spell it on that page. They're the Marabout. So going against the Morbito Axas in 1614, Kidam had his field in Duquela, 2 steps from Mazagan, and we know by now Mazagan, Brazil. Hamete Moluko, like the Moluccas, the islands, right? Brother and successor was called El Dorado, South America legend El Dorado, because he recovered the Guinea of gold. So he recovered the Guinea on this side from Portugal in a war. And this has been late, so I be saying like these people don't really know what they talking about. Talk about Moors foreign to hear what. We've been who else would try to take anything back? Who else got record of even taking anything back from these conquerors? Or fighting them with cannons and stuff. That's what these records gonna show. But they put it in what we perceive as North Africa and West Africa today through misplacement of place names. Tenerife, we got maps. She made maps showing you a whole area away with that name. So the question is, did you fight? So in 1623, Moulay Kidal left Morocco in good weather, stopping in Moscres. He witnessed 14,000 knights, including 500 Andalusians from Saleh raised to go to Dara, where the Marabout city Ali stood up. Well, I guess he took over a kingdom. Finished the Kidal magazine, he went to Safi. So, dealing with some true American history. After the conquest of Jamaican, the Turks enjoyed ports at the gateway to the Indies. And that's why we got Turk Islands right there at the gateway of the Indies, right? Still to this day. About to fall into the hands, the king of Falaise asked Philip III for help. Now we're gonna see what Falaise really had in a minute. So I can show y'all how much this thing is. We gotta be re-looked at before we point any fingers at anybody. We for one thing, we know that Portugal and Spain and England, all these entities today commit a lot of crimes. We got that down pat. But when they come to us for all that finger pointing or who that why, until we go look, we ain't gonna know. So the service was played by Manuel Alonso de Guzman, another one from over here, general of the Galeras of Spain, en route and in the Atlantic. He preyed on Moorish corsairs. He was late because Falaise was released without help, the king of Falaise. However, the trip was useful as it gave him experience. In 1631, he requested 6 galleys from Felipe IV from the Andalusian Guard, remembering the fear that caused the corsairs when he took her to the Sea of the Indies, so they stopped. There was a kingdom of Falaise next to Tunisia, and another Falaise west of Maracaibo. So you got wars going on, and we confused because of the two Falaises. And this one right here, the story's always gonna be holy wars between Moors and Christians. But this one right here get changed up into the European nations who conquered the weak Indians, right? Give them chicken pox and all that shit. So that's what that story goes by, because they can't tell you you've been fighting and you had armies and you've been organized and all that shit. They can't tell you that because you'll get back to that. So they just give you a whole story dealing with Falaise, but it could be another Falaise, which most likely is this Falaise. They don't lie so much and put everything over there. The clues that we get dealing with the Atlantic trade and the Andalusians ain't really been too much caring about. A lot of those North African coasts, they ain't really had control of that. The Moors who Benin had control of those coasts. They were concerned of keeping American coasts. And I believe a lot of them was the Americans. They just been over there trying to make sure they keep that shit straight. On lock. And you see Carthaginian Iberia just before even 711 AD. People like to say Moors conquered Spain just before 711 AD. And you see, preceded by the ancient Phoenicians, Carthaginians, and then you see when the Moors, 711 AD. You see the timeline. So you see Lisbon, like we see different places: Toledo, Cordoba, Seville, Zaragoza. Showing up in the journey, they gotta conquer these places before they even think about world conquest. So why these places so important before? Not even Spain and Portugal decided to go on a world conquest after this. The whole every European nation, all of us decided to go amongst the rest of the world and just take shit. So these places are not with it. So as you can see, some people from the high norths, Franco land, stuff like that, come down and set up their own kingdoms, Christian kingdoms of Leon, Castile, Navarra, and Ribagorza, and Barcelona. So these Moors, you see the Moorish Latin words that they do connect to Brazil. They get words like this. They say, damn, they ain't even speaking old Portuguese. They ain't even speaking the Portuguese of the timeline. We say when the Portuguese come over there and actually take their shit. They speaking at least 200 years or earlier version of them nigga shit. That go back to languages like this. Algarve. Maria. And Cortuba. City of Yuba. And see, Seville was Isabilia. So her name been Seville. And Moorish line is Isabilia. Unless that's a full syllable. So after we see a lot of the kingdoms start to become Taifa states where they've been under the, basically they've been paying Castile and Orleans and these to keep the rest of them in bay. They'll keep vassalage, they'll give vassalage to one of these groups to let them fight each other for a while. And you see Albraki, Valencia, and Malaga been important. These been the most important because, you know, we dealing with disgrace. Gotta have control of this because you can getting out, you can get out. And you see the Algarve been important because you can get out this way. And definitely this Portugal, that's why they get a head start. They at that coast. Alright. So here's just a look at the battles right here that really had a mark on the whole world. It just wasn't really affecting us, even affecting the whole world. So you see all these conflicts, you know, dealing with the first conflict. And they fighting against Phoenicians because we already know who Benin before these conflicts begin. Alright, Carthaginians at that time. And, some more. 14th century, 13. These battles you can look into. That's one of the most important battles. Las Nahuas de Tolosa. They love that one. And the fall of Granada, of course. You see North Africa. We don't really know which side, but they're gonna make it look like this always how the world I look. Yeah, you see the Granada campaign. That been a nail. So you see, before they began come down, crashing down on somebody else's shit, it was the realm of the Almohads, or Almoravids, or Almoravitos, or fucking Moors. They've been on both sides of the Atlantic. And right here we see the emirate of the Beni Ghania. Show you that Ghania, or Ghania, is ancient and far stretch. Amexem. Okay, before we end, we're gonna deal with race a little. They like to flag your shit when you start talking about race, what they can talk about you, or they call you any name in the book. You strike back and you get mad. But let's do it from take the spookism out of the Yakub story and add some historical context to it. So CMB teaches and I agree. Arcadia is today Canada, and Scotia or Nova Scotia of North Canada, and the original Scotland, the origin of the Irish and Scots, and the Anglia, and the Saxons, and the Belgians. Now you got the area on our map, our climate map that we call Asia tundra that you talk about. 9 out of 10 of the pale-skinned nations of the world today have either black or brown eyes or black hair, which represent the stamp of the Moorish and Asiatic mothers. The people referred to as Japanese, Latin, Mexican, Chinese, Italian, Spanish, Turk, Indian, Arabian, Syrian, in this modern times, people who refer to this modernly, Russian, Eskimo, and all other similar island peoples are the generation of kinky-haired Moorish or Asiatic fathers. So we can't blame. I know people like to say the Asiatic mothers have been the scientists who helped with the so-called Jacobian experiment. That's all it is to me. That's the experiment, just more unspooked. Just scientifically in the short amount of time as possible. So we can't really do that because both of them is the problem. For if it's a problem, if you want to look at it as a problem. So they say the people are these people are the children of the fathers and the Patagonian blonde mothers during the early rise of the Order of Islam. That might sound weird to some, but we know what that is more as Patagonian blondes. And we also deal with, basically, we could say that the whole South America been a part of this so-called story right here. This so-called Jacobian experiment story, because we get a lot of shit from South America coming with the old ass caste systems, ancient caste systems, different so-called races and shit been going on over there. And the codexes and stuff show different races and shit. So something to it. And you see a depiction of the Patagonians when he went down there. So it's the Moorish or Asiatic father. And the Patagonian blondes. As a matter of fact, you can look that up. Patagonian blonde and something should come up. And companies would take that term and use it. using a term that they ain't gonna register. You see pictures. You'll find pictures that you'll see dark skinned men, and it'll look like they're American with the feathers and the minimum clothing, and look like they're in the Amazon. You see parrots, and you'll see naked whites, very white women on these photos, long blonde hair. And people look at these as, oh, they're just a fairy. They just been putting these allegorical things in it. No, that's the Patagonian blonde and the Moorish man. In Patagonia, like the story just for the saying. You call it what you want, but we looking at what we seeing. I know they ain't gonna give me them paintings. Shit, we just put in America. I know people talking about these paintings, they making websites and shit about them. So we try words like Amazon. Gotta trick them. Oh, that's why. And you gonna find these tries all over South America. Blonde Indians. Damn it. Let's see. No painting. They can put paint. Then we'll go. I already rambled enough on this video. Shit. No, they ain't gonna give me that thing. Out the blue. Random searching like this. Try one more. Try Brazil. The word Brazil. And then put try this. See, ask for paintings and they still won't give me pictures. I don't care about none of these modern pictures of these people who win. Like, to me, people who wear stuff like that is least, to me, I think, is the people who've been here, because that's the trick. Like, you gotta look like like this is America. Like, die in America, shit means land of Moors. You got a phase on, now you look American to me. That's my understanding of that. Instead of gotta dress like this, they don't dress like this a secret. They put a face on. I keep doing that, I ain't know. But anyway, yeah, a lot of those pictures they might gotta take out. I might gotta put it in Congo or something. Basically, probably gotta put it African. Cause then some dark skinned brothers sitting out there with boring arrows and shit on the lake. Bunch of them little fucking fairy like around, all white on all around them. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And they flakes and they muscle. But 1,000 years of that, the rise and the fall of the order of Islam. That's what CMB equate to all these races that we got today. Yeah, I love it. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Alright, forget it. Ain't got that much to go left anyway. So, natives trading with Patagonia in the Straits. Just in case you ain't know what we're talking about, Patagonia is a lot of South America, bottom parts. So as we close out, we're gonna see this is some of the names that they they really had in these places. So a lot of the names today that we got in these places actually came from the Americas, or been set up by Moors from this side. Like we see with the Portuguese conquering of the world, they keep some of the same names. You see that I say Ganawa all the way up there in North Africa, dealing with different tribes that like, the reason why we don't really, you see, just like we saw from the beginning. So you see many tribes, many of these names, it's like personal tribal names, kingdom names that ain't got like treaty relations to dealing with the world today and how we function and a lot of nations in the family of the world. That's why we use these terms amongst ourselves, like Kushites and stuff, but these scientists ain't finding bones saying it's Kushite. They're saying it's most likely Canaanite. Right or wrong, we not our concern. Our concern is to be as right as we could while we speak in English. If we go to another language, then in that language. If we're going to deal with a claim or a law case or anything, any affairs you deal with, you got to deal with it in that language. Right? You might be talking, we talking about the same people, but we using a different term. You see the Mende, like we say the Mandarin Indians and shit. All up in Monday. And that's the language they find all over America, Mende. So, we're going to end with the man who already done said all this in less than the time I take to make this video, for sure. The key of civilization was and is in the hand of the Asiatic nations. And again, he dealing with English, so he gonna be there writing exact in English, so even nobody can rebut you. And most likely they're gonna have to do it in English because shit, who else speaking anything else? So when they deal with this, they gonna save terms like Asiatic, the Moorish, and like that too, who were the ancient Moabites and the founder of the holy city of Mecca. You know what all that means? The Egyptians were the Hamites and of the direct descendant of Mizraim, and he using the biblical because that's what English is, a Christian language, dealing with the biblical text as historical. So he connecting you based off that. Even if they find things like languages and stuff, they're going to use these terms, Hamitite and stuff like that. Afro-Asiatic language. The Arabians and the seed of Hagar, Japanese and the Chinese. The Hindus of India, the descendants of the ancient Canaanites, so he's taking you over the world. Hittites and the Moabites, remember. That Phoenician colony that they show come from out of this. Of the land of Canaan, the Asiatic nation of North, South, and Central America, the Moorish Americans and the Mexicans of North America, Brazilians, Argentinians, and Chileans in South America. So he called us the Moorish Americans, using the term like we used in 1786 when we called ourselves Americanos. We were talking about our states here in North America. That's why the United States of America always try to say that's their term outside of the term being a continental term. I'm trying to say it's the 50 states name, but that's kind of not true and kind of true. The way it true is the Americanos, those group who saying Thomas, Jefferson, Adams, and all these niggas and stuff to go do that business for us. Those Americans. That's the Moorish Americans. Who are you talking about? The Moors of the several states. So that's how he separates them from the Moors of Mexico and Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. Called you Moorish Americans because you got different state names too, Carolinians and stuff like that. But since it was united, you become some Moorish Americans as a whole. And the Colombians and the Nicaraguans and the natives of San Salvador and Central America, all of these are Muslims. The Turks are the true descendants of Hagar, who are the chief protectors of the Islamic creed of Mecca. So that they're dealing with a world empire going back to the ancient times. Still gotta have that understanding. They telling you where it was at that time in the hands of the Turks. And beginning from the Muhammad the first, the founding of the uniting of Islam by the command of the great universal God Allah. And these Turks or whatever who had the Islamic creed in their hands gave it to the number 12 too. That's why you see my man on the front of that cover from Saudi Arabia. The domains of Kush, Northeast and South East Africa, and Northwest and Southwest was as far as the domain of Africa. That's why we say Moab, because the child, the mother, and the father. So whatever father they talking about, that's that one. The father. So they say, and later years, many of the brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. So that's what I believe in the old geography. Asia and the Holy Lands been just a part of the world that been a different climate goes on at the time from what we call Africa, and a different climate goes on. Not how we see it today. Because I know when I first read this, everybody's mind would go to, people from what we call Israel went into Africa and populate the population. You know what I mean? Like the way it's written. But with a better understanding, the whole world already populated. But these stories that happen, they're going to come out eventually, and then you already be connected. So the Moabites from the land of Moab and all that's ambiguous, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit Northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire. Because that's how law work. The air, always the air. I don't care who occupy it. Aliens from Mars and come occupy it. They occupying somebody else. That's what that is, the fact of the matter. You're going to operate by force. That's just you being the devil you is. And they say some place you got to occupy. So they say they were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. And what he doing when he used just these few, hundreds of different biblical tribes come out of them. And that will make it the whole world. Like I say, this is dealing with not just the place names that we see, Africa and Egypt and Moab and stuff like that. Science, be real scientists and religious historians and stuff to understand that Canaanites been a bunch of tribes all over the world. Their domains and and habitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the Great Atlantis, even into the present North and South and Central America. So their dominion, which means the lands that they had in their woes. The first man who make the woe, or the proclamation or annexation of something. Basically, he passed it down to his kids. Ain't that them people is the only sole possessors of the land. They're just saying they got the highest right to have anything go in question in law. So he giving you back your land through this document. He say they've been their dominions. That's how they began have the dominions under titles and their inhabitation, which again show you they ain't foreign to this place. They lived here. Inhabitation. Ruled it and lived on it. And basically the whole of Africa and America. And you see the river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaohs of Egypt in those days to trade, and it extended eastward from the river Nile westward across the Great Atlantic. It was used for trade and transportation. So a route, ancient route that reached from Africa to America, written in 1929 by a man. But people made 3 hours lectures talking about him, but don't talk about nothing he actually wrote or allegedly said. So, as we can see, that's how you were rocking in South America, North America, Asia, everywhere. Okay. I hope I'm aiming too low. I lose my voice before I even start making this video. But yeah, basically a whole lot of theoretical, historical events going on. Most people ain't using original documents or records from the time period of the event in question. They use opinions after opinions. So, always try to find the oldest documents, the original documents of things, are the oldest you can find. Until you get to a point where you can't even get a source of it. And look into the place names. It's impossible for you to hide that much history from the world. Nobody, I can't find nobody giving me history documented about this place, the American continent, before 1492, and even way after that. It exists on paper everywhere in a bunch of museums and a bunch of books, and they've been written before 1492, and they've been written either over here or somewhere else, but they're talking about this place. But again, we can't use they could be talking about under the term of Africa, or another term might have been used that we ain't privy to that talks about the Americas, or places over here. Again, as we didn't look at the continents like the 7 continents like we see today. Mostly city-states, so they could have been in the city in what we call America today, but that name don't reflect as that. So I could try to make some more videos dealing with what Nova Charlie said personally, because I never see a man over 100 years after his death get this much attention to the world. by his own people. Positive and negative, what I'm talking about. It's amazing to me. 3-hour videos. Like, I can't imagine myself talking, and I already tired talking now, been tired talking, but can't imagine myself making that much interest or stock into other things that I don't care about. If there's something wrong about it, like they try to claim he's a fraud or he's a spool. If that's what that is to me, I ignore that and move on to what I need to do and the things that I need to do, me and my people. So when I see that, it amazes me how you even spending my time on that. What about you? Teach us about you. A lot of the time they don't know about themselves. You know. So yeah, that's amazing. 3-hour video talking about a negative subject on the point. Like if I do like I do most of the time, my video is the negativity going towards the motherfuckers who sit in my castles, claiming to be this descendant of this conqueror that I know took my shit because I got the records. Like, but I can't do nothing about it but talk about this shit on Facebook because 99% of the Moors who would help me get the castle don't even know. You know. So then when you tell us stuff like this, they want to know where is it, where your sultan or where your army. Like, dude, you us that. The more you who get this, that manifests itself. You know. So know y'all they bring so much for so little. It's amazing. But these dudes only know on the surface information. And that's why they lost. And Islam till next time.